No one in South Africa is above the law. That seems to be the consensus of the message after the late-night arrest of former President Jacob Zuma for contempt of court. He's now begun a 15-month prison term in Estcourt. Well, I'm joined now by Professor Judith February, lawyer, political analyst, and a member of the Defend Our Democracy campaign. Prof, thank you so much for your time. Is this a good day for our democracy, a resounding message that no one is above the law, or is it more a sign that Jacob Zuma has well and truly lost power?
Good evening, Sally. Just to clarify, the professor appellation is not for me, but thank you. I think that the first answer to that is that yesterday was a good day for South Africa's democracy. What it showed us was that the constitution of our country holds, and that despite a week of legal spectacle and wrangling and the politics of spectacle that was happening both within and outside and Kandla and outside courts and so on, that at the end of the day, when a constitutional court hands down a judgment, that judgment is binding on everyone, no matter who you are. I would argue, though, that Jacob Zuma's star has been falling for a while now. It's in the hype around this matter, around Zuma's arrest, and we need to understand that he is the ultimate populist in a sense. So what the populist does is distract with shiny objects and song and dance and slogans and so on. But this is the same individual who was recalled by his party, and it is also the same individual who kept us waiting until the wee hours of a February night in 2018 before he stepped down. So the idea that former President Zuma could bring a country to its knees, in a sense, I've always thought that was overblown and not quite an accurate reading of the political forces at the moment. But that aside, that's an internal ANC problem in a sense. But that aside, the Constitution holds. Today, we have a former president in prison. We have a constitution which is intact. We don't have barriers around the union buildings or around our parliament, or an American-style January 6th insurrection. And I think that is a step in the right direction for the future, and for a sign to other individuals that they cannot simply act with impunity.
Now, I just want to go through a couple of legal things. Tomorrow, the KwaZulu-Natal High Court in Pietermaritzburg is delivering judgment on whether Zuma can stay the arrest. So obviously the horse is bolted, so to speak. Is this completely moot now?
It is moot, Sally, but it will still be interesting because all of this is legally interesting in a sense. What Jacob Zuma has done and what his lawyers have opportunistically done, I believe, is to push civil procedure, to push procedure to its very limits. These are things that we haven't really seen before. But the arrest warrant held, and so tomorrow will be moot, but it will be interesting. And it will be interesting to see what Judge Nguni says. I'm also interested in what kind of costs order he's going to impose tomorrow, because in a sense, listening to Advocate Mpofu, a lot of the arguments were simply scurrilous and vexatious compared to Advocate Ngukai Tobi's arguments, which were skillfully done and really a sort of masterclass in advocacy. So one would be interested in that, and also to just affirm the role of the highest court in the land.
Then on Monday, of course, it's the Constitutional Court rescission matter. He, by my understanding, has to prove that a gross error was committed or something crucial was left out when they made their order. Can you see any route to success there for him?
Well, it's always difficult to sort of put words in the mouth of the court, but I would be exceptionally surprised if that application succeeds, and I'm half sure that Zuma's lawyers have the same view, but are proffering any sort of argument before the court. I think that there's been a large-scale abuse of court processes. Jacob Zuma likes to say that he is a victim, yet he has used every single legal opportunity and more to test the court. I don't think that this application has prospects for success. You can't try and get via a rescission application what you can't get in terms of an appeal. So in a sense, it feels to me like this rescission application is trying to get an appeal of the Concourt judgment via the back door. You can't do that, and so it would be very surprising. My reading of it is that the rescission application, those applications are for technical errors as opposed to what goes to the heart of the case and the merits of the matter.
Does all this sort of legal process and the fact that he's now sitting in prison actually mean he'll never now testify at the State Capture Commission and that we'll never hear his version of events?
Well, Sally, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see Jacob Zuma go before the State Capture Commission. And there's a very good reason for that, because he'd be doing that under oath. And whatever he says, of course, can be held against him. He has legal woes mounting in the arms deal matter. He's got a case a criminal case against him. And so we have to remember that. And, more could be added to that. He has no interest. He never has had the interests of the country at heart. He has no interest in spilling the beans in an open way so that we can have some sort of public letting or information in the public domain. This is somebody who has presided over wide-scale looting of the state, and it is not in his interests to talk about that, to say anything about it under oath. And I doubt that we ever will. And that says far more, because what it means is that the Commission will draw its own conclusions about the evidence that it has heard, and also about the fact that he would rather go to prison than in fact tell the truth.
Yeah, and I suppose we'll just have to wait to see if any charges regarding state capture are ever laid at his door. But of course, later this month, we are going to see, and it'll have to be done remotely, which is what I think the Correctional Service has said, the Minister said today. But the arms deal corruption case comes back to court. I mean, it's 20 years down the line. Do you think, realistically, Judith, there's any real chance of success with this one?
Well, he's firstly bringing an application for the prosecutor to recuse himself, Billy Downer. So that will take time. It seems as if it has been dragging on for so long, Sally, and my gut feeling tells us that it's going to drag out for even longer. Zuma and his lawyers are masters in abusing court processes. I suspect that the case there will be some, it will start, but who knows how long it will take to end. And legal processes, we've seen the vagaries of those, interlocutory applications, etc., is where you get to a point of complete fatigue, the public does, but also that it really, to me, it seems unlikely that we'll ever really get to the bottom of it. But Sally, in a sense that some of that is moot, because there's so much in the public domain that we already know. There's so much that we have evidence of, and the desire to see former President Jacob Zuma in orange overalls, well, who knows whether that will be met. But he is in prison tonight, and ironically for something which is far lesser than the arms deal corruption, but there is some power in that, some power in the symbolism of a former president being in prison tonight.
All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting to us. My apologies for calling you a professor, but you should be one in my view. Judith February, lawyer, political analyst, and a member of the Defend Our Democracy campaign.